Okay, hey, welcome to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. We have another fun update for you from the brand Spinnaker. A little bit about them. They pretty much offer classical nautical designed aesthetic watches in an affordable modern package. And in terms of the type of watch, I'm sure you can already tell this is a dive watch. Some key common characteristics and design: when you're looking for a diver, you're going to want water resistance, typically with some type of screw down crown. You're going to want something that's tough, legible, with a dive time bezel, and a diver's extension is always nice if on bracelet. This is their Boettger automatic. This is the Azure colorway, and it's back in a limited edition run of 4 new striking colors. And it was originally designed as a way to rethink the traditional dive watch. So that Boettger, yeah, I don't know. Correct me in the comments. I'm sure you will. The Boettger Auto keeps both form and function at the forefront with an integrated bracelet and a bonus strap option, plus key visual details like their raised plane indexes to give you a really fresh take on a very classic formula. You can get these direct for $690 from Spinnaker, and then of course I believe they have some 25% off discount offers that are available when you sign up. So check out the site for that. So those deals are always there. This is officially unveiling today, October 21st, and then it'll actually be available for purchase on October 28th. So I did want to make sure that I got you guys this information as quickly as possible if you were interested, because that's something that you don't always get, that little window. Sometimes, a release releases and then it's just like every man for himself. And if you get one, you get one. So hopefully this will give some of you who are interested in this piece a little bit of a head start so you can be ready for it. But yeah, it's a really interesting piece and I'm into it. So thanks Spinnaker for sending this over. And then with that said, let's zoom the camera out, get this piece in hand, and take a closer look. All right, wow, check it out. Check out the box. So Spinnaker branded, obviously, waterproof box, very, within the theme of dive watches. And you can see you get the main watch, you get some tools in terms of strap changes, this little screwdriver here. My daughter thought this was adorable, and I'm gonna have to agree with her. Look at that thing. That is just cute. That's actually they since this is a integrated bracelet, it's actually to unscrew the lugs, and you actually do get an extra pair of screws in terms of to swap out this excellent looking strap. Check this out. So essentially you unscrew and you screw on, bam, and then you got a lot more color. So then it kind of goes and becomes a absolute summer beast, versus this I think is a little bit more versatile and you could probably wear all year round. And then of course the coolest feature here is, check that out. Look at those raised indices and how the second hand just goes underneath them. That's just different. It's just cool. It's smart. And they didn't cheap out and just like print the indice on to the sapphire. They're actually still individual. You can see they have like the stems that go into that sloped chaptering. So just a little extra, a little fun, I can't, again, like, you can't get mad at it. I can just be impressed because a brand like Spinnaker, let's face it guys, they're gonna sell watches no matter what, because they just typically target the bold, broad majority of watch buyers. They're not super focused on just the enthusiast, and I think that's why they probably do so well, is that even people who aren't really crazy into watches can buy a Spinnaker because they're so readily available and honestly pretty well built, especially considering the price points on these. This one is actually going to be, I guess, like probably one of the more expensive Spinnakers I've ever had on the channel, and it's still not super expensive. It's $690 right? And that's like before any type of discounts. That's pretty darn good considering you're getting a 9000 series Miyota, right? 9015, 300 meters of water resistance. It's not like, you know, this is big for no reason. Like, this thing is cool. And you're getting the box, you're getting the strap, you're getting the tools. Everything is solid here. So yeah, I mean, you're even getting a diver's extension, although that is pressed, and the clasp does have pressed elements to it. It does have a milled folding section, and it feels pretty solid. Oh, you can see a couple of streaks there from the sticker. Let me just wham, wham, wham. And it's, no, now that's gonna bother me. Oh no, now it's kind of gone. Maybe I'm just gonna hit it with some breath. Give it a quick wipe. And better, but it probably could use just a little bit of wetness there. That actually might be because down here there's some plastic where I kept the oh, so here's where the extra piece is, and then here's the extra links when I sized it. So I don't know if that pressed on it or something, but we'll get that. Yeah, okay, I'll clean it right now. Okay, I'm back. And honestly, was unsuccessful. I think it still kind of looks the same. I think it might actually be a residue from when they wrap everything up in the plastic. I don't know if it's like a glue or something like that, so I'll probably actually have to scrub that. But no cover-ups here. Yeah, it's still kind of there, which is weird. I don't know. If you guys ever seen that, I've handled tons of Spinnakers in the past. It's the first time I've ever seen that, but it's a thing. I don't know if it's a thing to worry about, but that wasn't the greatest, so I don't know. Yeah, something. I'm gonna have to scrub that at some point heftier. I tried huffing and puffing and just using the breath moisture there for the longest time, and then I just ran it under the sink and gave it a wipe, and it still didn't go away. So I thought, just come back and record, because if I have to do more than that, then, you know, then that's on them, not me. You know, I'm thinking actually it might have been kind of cool if they would have put the Spinnaker branding on the glass as well. Kind of make it, I don't know, could have made it like little 3D, but, or made it just raised. Actually, if they made it raised in any weird way, then the hand would have hit it. So I guess maybe just printing it on the glass. That could have been cool. You can see there's a little bit of AR coating there, which is helping. And really, for me, the main selling point of this watch is going to be that colorway. I really do like the way the orange and this azure blue, it's you know, pretty much an aqua blue, all play really well together. And then we have the black bezel. You can see it has the coating on it. It has a really nice grip. Let's wrench on this thing. Okay. All right. Oh, so if you're going to want to turn it, definitely go for around 2 o'clock and 8 o'clock. That's a good spot. If you try to go like up here, not the greatest. Here, okay, but yeah, best spot. Yeah, so it's pretty nice. Clicks right into place. Looks like it lines up well enough there. Yeah. Parallax effect. I got to make sure everything, is it lined up or am I just lining it up, or vice versa. So yes, these will be available. 42 millimeter diameter, 13 millimeters thick. And then it's weird, since this is an integrated bracelet, if I was to measure like lug to lug, which should be just this end to that end, right, it's 42.8. And then if I was measuring like ultimate lug, which would be like where this little piece kicks out, because you can see here, see how that has an indent. It's because that is actually part of the case, not part of the bracelet. So since that's part of the case, you know, if I really want to get, you know, fickle with it, then I could consider that kind of ultimate end, you know, lug distance. That's going to be at about 49 millimeters. So not super long from a lug to lug perspective, but this isn't really a giant watch. It's a 42 millimeter, so I consider it like a full-sized watch. Especially as a diver. I think this looks right at home, you know, and some people, even with smaller wrists, like chunky divers. It's kind of a thing, and this is that. This is not one of their thin line, you know, which Spinnaker recently did release this pretty sweet, nice little thin number. Definitely check my channel history for that. But this is more within the traditional line in terms of the scale and the heft of it. But the design wise is, I think, where they make it a little bit different, fun. It kind of almost has like an 80s vibe to it, which I dig. So 120 click bezel, it's stainless steel, black coated. Crown is a screw down crown. You can see here it has crown guards, interesting shapes and finishes. You get the brush with the polish on top. On here you get that nice little undercut bevel, looks great. And then the case back itself is pretty interesting because instead of it being screwed down, it's screwed in. So it's like almost like a plate that fits on the back that's flush with everything. So interesting choice there for sure. Well, did this get better on the... Yeah, I'm gonna have to scrub that. That's kind of annoying. But good news is I have this. Maybe now I'll put these on in the review. Maybe I'll just cut away and throw these on there just for the fun of it. Actually, let's do this. I'll put it on my wrist for a little wristwatch check so you guys can see how it wears, and then when I actually do my cutaway to see how it wears, I'll have it on the strap. I think that's fair. Check that out. 7¼ inch wrist to 7.5 inches. And when I say that, it's because higher up I wear, the thicker my wrist is. You can see there's a taper to the wrist, right? So if I wear it on the wrist bone or below, which did, you know, in the past I would wear watches like that, it was 7¼ but on this side of the bone or up, it's going to be more like 7.5. So there is some variance there. It's not because, you know, hey, if it's a hot day, a cold day, all that. It's more so like, hey, where are you wearing it on the wrist? But if we get a little tighter on this piece right here, you can see it sits pretty nicely. Check that out. Nice and flat. Definitely has, you know, some Oris Aquas vibes in terms of it being, you know, integrated bracelet, dive watch with a lot of heft on it. It's you know, costs a lot less than an Aquas. Not quite as luxurious, definitely more along just kind of that dedicated tool watch vibe. But so yeah, so instead of me trying to do all that, because then I mean my video is already long enough. We'll preset everything, pre-stage everything, and then I will swap everything out, put it on the bracelet. I'm sorry, take it off of the bracelet and put it on to this cool looking strap. But first let's take a look at it while it's off, and we can see all the angles. Nice little cutouts for breathability. Also, you're getting a nicely milled buckle here, signed underneath as well. Check that out, stainless steel. Oh, let me get it to focus there. Very nice, signed, fully milled. Even this little finger here is milled. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put this on, and we'll be right back from there. All right, back, baby. Two small things to mention, or maybe it's just one. That adorable little screwdriver technically wasn't small enough to fit inside of the hole. Like, it was wide enough to work on the screw head, but basically since those screws were countersunk, I had to just use my little Bergeron tool here. So that you know, so those two things, yeah, that was kind of a bummer, but I will say completely fixable. Ooh, sorry, I just blew my nose before coming back. Now my throat's feeling dry. But essentially, you know, in terms of that, it was really easy workaround, but kind of a bummer. So that adorable little screwdriver, the nice thing is if you lose it or if you give it to your children as a gift, you know, it's not going to stop you from using your watch, because you're going to probably just have to use your standard screwdrivers that you use to adjust screw links typically. But check that out. Wow, I'm kind of glad that this forced me to put this on there because of that little weird stain that was on the clasp, which again I'm guessing is some type of adhesive or some type of residue from when it was wrapped up, or maybe it was wrapped up and there was some just moisture locked into there, and it's just a little corrosion that needs to just be brushed off. But I'm not gonna worry about that. I'm just gonna get back to this, guys, and need to get back to this and get that back at 12. Cool. And yeah, lined up. Look at that. I just love the angle when you can see those raised indices. It's just interesting, different. Again, is it a gimmick? It could be, but it's not an expensive one, at least at that, right? You're still getting that smooth sweep there from that Miyota 9015 movement, which is great. Solid case back. You're getting this dial that has this great, kind of multi-dimension to it. And the nice thing is, from afar, as my camera decides to unfocus, kind of like me during this review, unfocused, just shooting from the hip, on the wrist from off the cuff, absolutely off the cuff. You're right. Yeah, I actually kind of dig it more on the strap. It goes all in. I think before it had a fun kind of 70s vibe to it, 70s, 80s. Now it's just, for me, this almost looks just like a modern watch now. So that's kind of cool. I dig that. Now it's just like a 2022 type of watch. Of course, because of the more modern style and everything of this now integrated style rubber strap that looks really cool, and it just gives it a different look to it. And you can see everything's nicely tucked. And you can see, of course, that's where the case ends. And then you do have this piece that does come out and protrude a bit. But this strap, of course, flows straight down and follows the curvature of the wrist. So it wears really nice. Great milled stainless steel buckle, signed. Get some great contouring there. You even get a little bit of a lip that to hold it kind of in place, and then you get a little bit of a lip on the end here, which keeps this furthest keeper from sliding around. So very cool, guys. So with that said, I guess we should get to some Lume shots, low light transition, and closing thoughts. Okay, we'll go ahead and hit the lights here. As you can see, you have that great two-tone Lume. You're gonna have the green for every 5 minutes or every hour, versus the blue on the hands, and then that great bezel pip. So this is a dive watch, so it is nice to see, very strong Lume there, visually interesting Lume. But one thing I do like to work in is a low light transition, because you're not always going to be out in the middle of a field enjoying direct sunlight. A lot of times you're going to find yourself coming in and out of buildings, walking underneath overhangs, hanging out underneath the shade of a tree, or maybe just spending time in your favorite automobile. So it's nice to see what these colors, textures, and finishes render like in less than optimal lighting. So maybe even include some harsh, high contrast lighting like you're going to see here, which would typically expose any type of production defects. But as you can see, everything is nice and clean. The brushing on that bezel looks fantastic, even through the black coating on there. So still quite uniform as it glides over. You can see that the dial and the strap match really quite well, even in mixed lighting. And you can also notice that the three-dimensionality on those raised indices just creates for some fun little light play and dimension. Even as the watch itself is static, if the light source moves around it, it just kind of either looks quite flat or can add quite a pop when you get in a situation like this. So very, very cool, and you can see still loomed very nicely. So guys, closing thoughts. You know, on the wrist, very hefty and substantial feeling, but it still somehow manages to feel really comfortable while hugging the wrist really well. And that's not just on this rubber strap, which absolutely I think this is the way to wear it. But on the bracelet, it was actually super comfortable too. And that was one of the reasons why originally I wasn't even considering putting it on the strap, because the bracelet wore so surprisingly well, especially considering the design and the heft and everything. It just really was well articulated, so it wrapped really, really nicely. And even though it was, you know, pretty heavy, it didn't have any like sharp points or anything like that. So it was, you know, in terms of ergonomics, you pretty much have two great options, but it definitely gives you two different looks. Now, in terms of model variants, it's also available with a yellow dial, orange dial, or white dial, and of course those would all include matching bonus straps as well. They would come on the bracelet as standard, but then you would still have either a white strap, orange strap, or yellow strap to go with that corresponding dial. Now, in terms of comparable models, you know, whether I'm cross-shopping this against mainstream Seiko and Citizen or against popular micro brands, these higher spec Miyota 9000 series powered Spinnakers do offer a lot of value for money. And honestly, as I'm sitting here and as I've worn it now, especially on this strap, it really kind of makes me recall Doxa as a competitor, and obviously a much more beloved brand with a long history and everything. But a lot of people really enjoy just the pops of color and the retro aesthetics, and you're getting that here too. So like, if you're not hardcore into diving and you're not trying to pay a lot of money for, you know, a Swiss made diver, you know, upwards of $1,000, but you do love, you know, these pops of color, whether it be yellow, orange, white, this great aqua blue, you kind of have an option. I mean, these are, I believe, like semi-limited. I'm not really sure. But the cool thing is, now that you've seen this video, you should have a head start on the rest of the crowd if you are interested in this one. And yeah, again, this just gives you that, and I don't know, it's like, it doesn't look like a Doxa by any means. I think Doxas definitely have more of a 70s aesthetic. These are more, to me, kind of in the vein of the 80s. But I think they're darn good looking, and you know, we obviously know that they're really well designed from an ergonomic standpoint, and you're getting a lot for your money. And I believe, I want to say it was like, according to my notes here, it was a $690, and that's with no discounts, and you know you're gonna get discounts, guys. So that's pretty wild. This one really won me over. So the bottom line here, guys, this is just another solid release that manages to offer equal parts fun and value. And I think that's a good place for a brand to be at, if you offer fun watches that offer a high amount of value. So with that said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you like the video, please hit like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.